volunteering their time, their free time, and those two ladies have been in this office 5 days a week, 40 hours a week, volunteering their time for this campaign. And it's been just absolutely amazing what the grassroots can do. Chuck was our communications director at Richmond Tea Party. He's been helping out with the campaign and is the communications director here for the campaign. He has the impressive resume, long-time resume. He's been in the corporate world for the last decade, right? And more. But used to work for Congressman Molinari and Secretary Martinez and others. And Dave Johnson back there, raise your hand. Dave Johnson is our campaign manager, and if you ever need anything or ask any questions or want to help out, Dave's the guy. And but I want to thank all of you for coming, and it's such an encouragement to see everybody here. And you know, when I decided to run for US Senate, most people think that I've been planning this all along, and that's not the case. I spoke at the first Tax Day Tea Party rally 2 years ago, and had my children up on the stage, and we were talking about $11 trillion debt. That was less than 2 years ago, because April 15th isn't for a few weeks. Now we're sitting at a $14 trillion debt in less than 2 years. That's projected to be $26 trillion in 2020. The interest on the national debt is the fastest growing part of our budget. So in 3 years, the interest on our debt will exceed all discretionary spending. The entire discretionary spending will exceed that. And we constantly have bond rating agencies telling us if you don't get your fiscal house in order, you're going to lose your AAA bond rating. You're going to lose your AAA bond rating. And when I decided to run for U.S. Senate was when I saw us go up to a $14 trillion debt and then see that the grand idea coming from the party was that they were going to cut $100 billion. And that was what they said. We're going to cut $100 billion. That's the mission when we get in there. And it occurred to me that they still don't get it. $100 billion is not even a drop in the bucket. And that if we aren't willing to significantly cut spending in Washington, D.C., if we aren't seriously willing to look at agencies and programs and functions of government and say, does this have a constitutional role in Washington, D.C.? That sort of fundamental thinking of, is this constitutionally limited government, or do we need to get rid of this agency in its entirety? If we're not willing to tackle entitlement reform, nobody wants to talk about entitlements. It's the big boogeyman in the room because people are afraid that they won't get reelected. But if we're not willing to look at Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and say that they are broken, and at first admit that they're broken and then do something about it, we will never, ever get our spending under control.
Amen.
It will never happen.
That's right.
And people don't want to talk about it. You don't want to have to talk about raising the age, which is something that I've been talking about. You're going to have to, for those that are paying in, they need to get their money back. But the people that are younger, we need another option. We need to be able to save. We need to be able to have private accounts and have savings. One of the things I've been talking about is Social Security, is incentivizing people to work beyond their retirement age by telling them you can keep your payroll tax if you work beyond your retirement age. Let people keep their payroll tax, let the employers keep their end of the payroll tax, and incentivize people to work and not retire so early and not draw down on that money. Give people a positive reason for wanting to work younger. Give employers a reason to continue to hire and keep on the payroll those that are experienced and that know how to do the job. And Medicare, talk about an upside-down program. It's a Washington, D.C., top-down, centralized, distributed healthcare system. And what we know works is competition. And what we know works is you got to have skin in the game. In Medicare, you don't have skin in the game. You have to give people, it has to be a consumer-driven healthcare solution. It has to be people who have the control of picking their doctor, that have the control of picking their provider, but also has the skin in the game that they're also going to be responsible for the cost. So you give people the ability to go and pick through large health savings accounts or through vouchers so that they can pick the doctor they want, and they have the responsibility. I tell people, my husband had a health insurance policy and we had a $20 copay. And when we had a $20 copay, guess what? Every time my kids had a fever, we were at the doctor. They had a runny nose, we were at the doctor. My husband got this wonderful health care policy now that is a $5,000 deductible. That's, you know, I don't take them to the doctor immediately now with a $5,000 deductible. You know, you make different choices. You make smarter choices when you are responsible. And so giving people the choice of choosing their health care provider, I think, is important. Having consumer-driven health care. And what we've had through President Obama is wanting it to be government-centered health care. We've got to look at entitlement reform, and that's something that has not been popular by both Republicans and Democrats. My biggest beef and why I've decided to run for US Senate is because I believe that both parties have had basically a progressive agenda. It's just to what extent. But we have very few people in Washington who believe in a truly constitutionally limited government and saying, is this a core function of government? Is this in the Constitution? If it's not, the federal government has no business doing it. What we had is a Republican president, Republican-controlled Congress voting for No Child Left Behind, voting for Medicare Part D, voting for the largest expansion of food stamps, and on it went. And then it was just carried on by the Democrats. And both parties have failed us, and I honestly believe unless we start sending people up to Washington, D.C. who represent our community, people from our churches and our neighborhoods and our communities and our civic organizations and our business community, we're not going to get anything different. You keep sending the same thing to Washington, D.C. over and over again and think, this time they'll get it right. And that's not how it works. That's the definition of insanity, is to keep doing the same thing over and over again and think, this time I'm going to get a different result. And it just doesn't work that way. In this campaign, I constantly say we all the time, and when I'm meeting with donors, and they keep, we? Who's we? And I think, well, we, the Tea Party movement, the grassroots activists, because that's really how I look at this campaign. We can win this race. I have absolute confidence that this race can be won with the help and the support of the grassroots community. We saw it done over and over again across the country, and there's absolutely no reason why it can't happen here in Virginia. But it's going to take the help of everybody in this room and multiply that out. We need your help in a number of ways. We have a sign-up sheet right here. We need people to volunteer in this office. If you can volunteer an hour or two a week, we have plenty. You know, this is going to be run on volunteer help. And if you can volunteer, you can sign up there. I'm driving all over the Commonwealth, and if you can help out with driving, we need some drivers, because we're out driving 5 days a week, and we need people who can help us drive. We need you to host an event in your house. I need you to invite 15 to 30 people, and I need you to let me come and speak to your friends and let them know that there's an alternative in this campaign. That's really, really important. If you look at how Ken Cuccinelli won his race, up to the very end, he was speaking in people's homes. And he was touching people in a real way. And that's what we want to be about. We want to be about reaching people in their homes and talking about real issues and talking about real solutions and getting away from all the political rhetoric and give answers. And that's one of the things that I keep getting feedback from on the campaign trail. People tell me, you keep answering our question. Not used to that.
Wow.
Or Rick said, you called me and you called me back. You know, I'm going to answer the question. Whether people like it or not, we're going to give the answer, and we're going to give a straight answer. And we may not agree on every issue, because this is a big umbrella, and Igor and Trevor know that. We may not agree on every issue, but there's a lot we do agree on. And if we have the support of the grassroots community, we can do amazing things. But We've got to get out there and we've got to work. This is a 15-month campaign. I need to be in your homes, meeting your neighbors and your friends and people in your church. And we're going to need the financial support. You know, I'm not going out to all the big industries and all the big special interest groups and asking them for money, because I don't want to be beholden to them. I want to be beholden to you, which means I need your financial support. You know, this campaign will cost a minimum of $2 million. That's being on the conservative side. And we need everybody to step up and help. And if you can be one of those that can commit to reoccurring giving monthly and say, I can give $25 every month, I can give $50 every month, I can give $100 every month, and knowing that we can count on a monthly donation from you, that would go a long ways for us to be able to plan out our campaign and say, what is it that we can do? Because as all you know, with the current gas prices, it costs me a lot to get to Abington. Okay? It costs me a lot to get into Martinsville. You know, I've spent $5,000 just on gas in the last few months, just traveling across Virginia. Because some people in this country don't believe we should be energy independent. So, you know, we have a lot of expenses, and I would appreciate all your support. We have a money tree right here on this wall where you can make a donation and clip it to the money tree. And when we say money doesn't grow on trees except in the Radtke office. But if you can help that money tree grow tonight, we have a financial deadline on Thursday, March 31st. And that first report card is a big report card in any campaign. They basically judge you on what you raise or what you don't raise. And so it's going to be critical for us to have a strong showing for this report card. And if you can donate before Thursday, and if you know of others that can donate before Thursday, that would really mean a lot. But I'm excited about this campaign. I go all over Virginia, and our message resonates, and that is people want a new generation of conservative, courageous leadership that will stand up to the party when the party's wrong, and that will cheer for the party when the party's right. And that's what we need, and that's what I'm promising you that I will do. I will go up there, and I will base my decisions on the Constitution, constitutionally limited government, and when my party is right, I will be their biggest cheerleader. And when my party is wrong, I will be their biggest critic. I've done that for the last 15 years, and I will continue to do that. But I need your help to get to Washington, D.C. So I really appreciate everybody for coming out. And please stick around, sign up for volunteer, donate, ask me questions. I will be around, eat some food, and let's get this campaign started.
Yeah!